I don't know if you guys ever get stuck in the same rut, but for me, sometimes I need some inspiration on what to do with a pound of ground beef. And in this video, I've got 3 amazing recipes that you can use your pound of ground beef on. Make sure you stay to the last recipe because honestly, I feel like it is so perfect for fall weather. Let's make some grilled cheeseburger wraps. This is one of those dinners that it comes together really fast. It's one of those things that everybody loves. So even if you have picky eaters in your household, they're probably gonna love this one. And honestly, it's stuff that I typically don't have to go to the grocery store for. It's things that I already have in my refrigerator, in my pantry, in the freezer, wherever it may be. And if we need a dinner that I'm just kind of throwing together, this is a great way to do it. It's like burgers, but it's a little different, just changing things up. The first place that we start every single time we make this one is over at the stovetop, so let's head over there. Okay, I'm gonna get my heat started on a medium, put a little bit of oil in the pan. You really don't need much. That's probably right around a teaspoon, maybe even a little less. Now my tip for today is that I actually have 2 meals this week that are going to take ground beef, already sauteed ground beef. So while I'm at it, let's go ahead and make both of them because tomorrow is the next ground beef dinner, so it's perfect. I can go ahead and cook it up, just put it in the fridge, and then I can just reheat it tomorrow. If you know that you have the same protein 2 nights in a row or maybe even 2 nights from now, go ahead and make it while you've got everything out. The only thing that I'm gonna add to this right now, just because it's gonna be for 2 separate meals, is some salt and pepper. So that's probably a little under a teaspoon of salt. And then let's just use some pepper. And we will take our mix and chop and just start to mix this up. So all we're doing is browning this. We're just gonna make sure that it gets thoroughly cooked through, and then I'll take half and just pop it into a container for tomorrow. And then part of that meal will already be done. One thing I love about tonight's dinner is that it can easily be assembled and on the go. Because it's served hot, it's not really one that you want to leave in a container and serve later because the steam will kind of work against you in that. You'll see that we're gonna be grilling these and adding kind of a crunch on the outside. It's not a horrible thing, but the steam will bring that tortilla that we're gonna use back to like its original consistency without that crunch. But we can take them on the go and eat them in the car. This is a great one to pack and take with you if you're looking for something like that, some sort of option. So this to me is the easiest way to pull out the excess grease or even water that comes out of the beef. And I know some people say this isn't necessary, and that's completely fine if you don't want to do this. Honestly, part of the reason that I do it is, yes, we want to pull off any of the extra grease, but the other part is I feel like it gets a better saute if you have less of that in there. Okay, so you can almost hear when you take that out that you start to get a better sear, and that's what I want. I feel like the sear just adds really good flavor as opposed to almost like a steam or a boil method when you have all that liquid at the bottom. This is what I want to hear. I'm sure there are some really cool methods out there for removing the grease or removing the extra liquid, but for us right now, that is the simple method that we use. Okay, I'm gonna step over and wash my tongs so that we can use them to pull out half of this when it's done cooking. All right, so for now, I'm turning my heat off and I'm just guesstimating here, but I'm gonna pull out about half of this so we can go down the middle of the pan. Obviously, it's not gonna be perfect, but I am okay with that. And we're just gonna transfer half, or roughly a pound, to a container that can go in the refrigerator after it cools down a bit. And then we can have the ground beef already made for tomorrow. Now we can just take that and let that cool to the side for a minute. All right, now if you don't already know this about me, I don't like ketchup. So obviously, please feel free to use ketchup and mustard in yours. We are going with mayo and with stone ground mustard because that's the flavors that we enjoy. To the ground beef, I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of mayo, like I said. about a tablespoon of Dijon, but you can use regular yellow mustard if that is your preference. And then we're gonna add Worcestershire. Ooh, we need to get more of this. Okay, I really wanted about a tablespoon, but I'm not sure we're gonna get that. All right, let's just mix all of that together, getting all of those flavors in there. Okay, I think this is gonna be nice and tasty. You could add some spice in there too if you want. If you wanna add some jalapeno, sriracha, hot sauce, whatever your favorite condiments are, roll with that. Let's get some lettuce off of the garden for these cheeseburger wraps. Actually, I need to prune that one. Love having this lettuce here though. Okay, we do not have any tomatoes on the garden. I actually didn't plant a garden this year. So we do not have any big tomatoes. We only have these little tomatoes, but I'm gonna use them anyway. So I'm just gonna cut them into relatively small pieces. I think ideally for this, you would probably want tomato slices, but the entire purpose in tonight's meal is, remember, this is just stuff that you might typically have in your fridge, in your pantry, in your fruit drawer, whatever it may be. You probably already have this stuff available. So we'll just cut these into little pieces and use that. I think I have pickles that we can use for this too. Okay, I actually have whole dill pickles. So I'm gonna, oh, there's one that I've already cut a little bit. That's perfect. I'm gonna slice that so that we can have some slices, because I like pickles on my burgers. So I think this will be really good. And I'm just gonna pull out a plate to store these on. So we need tortillas. If you guys have been here for a while, you know these are our favorite. So here goes the assembly line, okay? So we have the tortilla. I've kind of flattened this out a little bit. So we're gonna do dividing it into at least 4 parts here. I would like, since it's a pound, I would like everybody to get about a 1/4 pound of burger on theirs. It's probably gonna be kind of hard to fold them, but you know, it'll be all right. We'll figure it out. So we're gonna take the burger meat or ground beef. Guess it's not a burger because it's not in burger form, huh? These tortillas are like a medium size. Probably a large size would be ideal for this, but it's okay. All right, you can also add extra ketchup, mustard, mayo if you want. I'm totally comfortable with the amount that was already in there. Okay, we're gonna add a little bit of lettuce, which, okay, there's a couple ways you can go about this. I don't mind grilling my lettuce inside of this. However, if you do not wanna do that, if you wanna unwrap it and add the lettuce in, you can do that. I'm totally fine with it this way. I bought these provolone cheese slices that are thin, so I'm gonna add that in here as well. So like I said, if you do not want your lettuce to be grilled, which is gonna make it wilt, you can just wait. Don't add the lettuce right now, and then you can unwrap it. I'm not gonna go through all that hassle. So totally up to you how you wanna do it. And then we make an attempt to wrap. Come on. If you heat them just a little bit before you wrap them, they will almost steam, and the tortilla in and of itself is easier to wrap. Adding ground beef, repeating the same process, just over and over. And I'm thinking my daughter won't want pickles. I'll have to ask her to be sure. We have all of the wraps, burritos, whatever we want to call them, assembled. And now it's time to use this little indoor grill that we use all the time. I wish I could link it for you guys, but I can't find it. We bought it, I think 10 years ago at Walmart. I have something similar linked in my Amazon store, but unfortunately we cannot find this exact same one. But I'm just gonna put these in here and we're gonna press it almost like a panini press and grill these. We'll do it like this. And just go like that. Okay, I am occasionally just kind of pressing it down, just making sure that we get, I don't want them flat, but we want to make sure it gets heated all the way through. If you have a panini press, you can definitely use that for this process. If you don't, just use a regular frying pan, just like you were making a quesadilla or something. Pop it in there, press down a little bit, flip it over, and get a little bit of a sear on the other side. Really simple. And that's what we want to see. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other ones on. We'll just set these on the cutting board for just a couple minutes. These are good to go, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut and serve these. I also made some pasta salad the other day, so we're just gonna eat that with dinner tonight. Super easy to make, really tasty. You can put whatever kind of thing you love in them. Those red tomatoes would be really pretty, obviously, but we had the little ones, so that's what we used with dinner tonight, which is a pretty frequent thing here. You guys know that. We use what we have. Burger wraps, grilled, really simple and easy.
Is that an onion or is it tomato? Mm-hmm. Crisis averted, everybody. Oh, it tastes just like a burger.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's really easy to make. It takes minutes. It changes up a traditional burger. If you don't want to fire up the grill outside, maybe it's raining, or you just don't have the time or the energy. Maybe you don't even own a grill.
Or you don't even want to make the patties.
Yeah. The sauteing the beef just makes it so easy.
Yeah.
But all the flavors are there. It's really good. Add whatever toppings you like. And like I said, I added the lettuce into ours. You can unwrap it and add the lettuce later if you really want that crunch.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't bother me that much. So just however you want to do it.
True, but you also have the pickles in here. So
yeah.
That's going to give us a crunch either way.
Yep. But it's really good. Really easy to make.
Delicious.
Tonight for dinner, we're making a Mexican lasagna casserole. I've got my dish over here, but a lot of this actually gets prepped over on the stovetop. I'm currently prepping our tortillas. I'm using white corn tortillas. You can use yellow corn. You could probably use flour too. But one thing that I like to do, although it may not be completely necessary, is to just quickly fry each one of them. So I just use a spray avocado oil or olive oil and then just sear them on both sides of the tortilla and set them to the side. You really just sear them for like 30 seconds each side. It does take a little bit of time to do this, but I feel like it adds to a crispiness that they don't get quite as soggy when you're cooking. It's an extra step you can take that I do feel like is worth it. So by doing that, you're just gonna add this little bit of color to each one of them. I mean, I just feel like it's worth it. I really do. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start prepping my 9x13 dish, even though we don't have everything ready to go. Just while these finish up, we need to spray. Okay, we're gonna spray that, and then you're gonna lay 6 tortillas at the bottom, overlap them so that you get that full layer at the bottom there. All of our tortillas are done and ready to go. So I'm gonna head over to the stovetop. Let's cook up our 1 pound of ground beef, also preheating our oven to 350 degrees. So once this is all assembled, it can go in there. A pound of ground beef. Ooh, it's nice and hot. All right, while this is cooking, I am gonna add in a little bit of salt. Maybe, let's do about a ½ teaspoon. You can also add in onion to this if you want to. About a teaspoon of minced garlic. I'm gonna start adding in my other spices. My heat is currently on a medium-low. That's about all I need right at this moment. This is one of those recipes where you can add in a taco seasoning packet, or you can just add in pretty much all your spices from your pantry like I do. I'm gonna add the ever so slightest touch of cayenne. I mean, truly just a touch. And we've got some onion powder, maybe ½ teaspoon. Let's do some garlic powder, again, about a ½ teaspoon. Some pepper, maybe only a ¼ teaspoon of that. I personally like to add in some chili powder. It might be a little odd, but we like the flavor of that in here. Okay, closer to a teaspoon probably on that one. Also, some paprika for smokiness. I like about a ½ teaspoon or so on that. Love adding cumin in this one, probably about a teaspoon. Just continue to mix that together. It's nice and browned. Awesome, awesome. I mean, the smell of this one, yes, this is what you want. I have a can of fire roasted diced tomatoes. This already has the green chilies in it, so we're gonna use this. If you don't have the can with green chilies, you probably wanna add a can of green chilies to this. I also have a can of drained and rinsed black beans. Those are going in. I actually might add green chilies still, another can. We like them a lot. I like the color that it adds. I think I'm going to. I'm gonna go ahead and add a can of green chilies. All right, so this is pretty much done. It's really just kind of combining it, heating it through. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off and we can move back over to the other side of the kitchen. I thought we had enough shredded cheese. We don't. And for me to shred more cheese right now, I have to pull it out of the freezer and let it thaw. And we don't have time for that. I need to make dinner. So I have some shredded cheese and I also have some sliced cheese. So we're gonna be using both of those. I'm gonna take about a third of this mixture and that's gonna go in this layer. Oven is ready, like you can hear. Okay, just spread this around, creating a layer. We top this layer with cheese. We're gonna have to get a little creative with the cheese. You could just lay it down in slices, but I do feel like that's gonna require me to use a lot more cheese than I actually want to use in this recipe. So we're just gonna tear it apart and kind of hope it melts a little bit all over. All right, another layer of tortillas. Same thing, 6 across again. So it's really just like lasagna. You're just layering, adding, layering. Okay, same type of thing here. Let me get that one closer to the edge. We're gonna use the shredded cheese for the top now, so I'm just gonna cover in shredded cheese. Really wish I had looked ahead of time at the cheese that we had, because I could have I could have shredded plenty of cheese. I think we have like a 5-pound block in there or something. Okay, there we go. This needs to get covered and it's gonna go into the oven for about 30 minutes or so, and then dinner will be ready. Good flavor, actually really good flavor. I don't know that these would work with flour tortillas at all. I just feel like they'd get too mushy. I mean, maybe if you're eating it right away, I don't think it would reheat well, but it's overall good. Like I said, really good flavor. Something different that you can make other than your traditional lasagna, but yeah, this is definitely a winner. I am going to make these ricotta meatballs. We're making them in the crock pot. You can make them on the stovetop, in the oven. You can make them however you want to make them. But today is Sunday, which means we're heading out to church, and it's so easy to throw these into the crock pot before we head out. Now, these are actually perfect because if you want to, you can serve them like an appetizer just out of the crock pot and just have meatballs, or you can make some noodles and serve them over noodles and you have a full meal. So just depending on the way that you want to use them, these are so good. We have a mixture here of Italian sausage and beef. So I have a 1/2 pound of Italian sausage and a 1/2 pound of beef. I've already mixed this together because we actually used the other 1/2 pound of each in a different recipe. We made chimichurri meatballs and they're so good. So this is just another kind of meatball that we are using, and we love using Italian sausage and beef together. Adding an egg to this. For the spices, I'm gonna mix together some breadcrumbs. It doesn't have to be this kind. You can use whatever kind of breadcrumbs you love. And sometimes you can just use Italian style breadcrumbs and you already have all your spices in there too. We like to add some Parmesan cheese because it's just oh so good that way. And then for our spices, I personally like to add in anywhere from a 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon of thyme, oregano, Italian seasoning, and basil. You can use whatever spices you like. Use your favorite things in this. You could add onion powder, garlic powder. We change these recipes up regularly. I just added whatever is currently available. What's the easiest to grab out of the pantry? I'm gonna mix these together and then we're gonna get them added to the crock pot. If you've been here for a while, you know that typically I make up my own spaghetti sauce or marinara sauce. And recently I made up a pretty decent amount of it and put it in the freezer so that it was already ready to go on nights when I just need something quick. I actually set this in the fridge last night from the freezer and it's still a little bit frozen, but regardless, we're gonna dump the whole thing in here because it's all gonna cook anyway. I'm gonna use my 1.5 tablespoon cookie scoop to make these meatballs. For me, this makes the perfect size meatballs for our family, so that's typically what I use, and I'll just get as many as I can out of this, and I'm placing them directly into the crock pot just on top of that sauce. Now it is currently about 7:30 in the morning, so I definitely don't need to cook this on high. If you're cooking on high, it's probably 2 to 3 hours. On low, it's more like 4 to 5. We've got plenty of time. So I'm gonna cook this on low, let it just cook the whole time we're at church, and then we're gonna come back from church and add our ricotta mixture. I am so excited and so hungry. My son actually wants to have these over noodles, so rather than appetizer style, that's how we're gonna have them, but make them however you want, okay? So I'm getting some noodles started over there, but we do need to add our ricotta mixture. And for this, I'm gonna add about 1/2 cup to 3/4 of a cup of ricotta into this little bowl. I'm adding in some minced garlic and then all of our favorite seasonings. So we're gonna use some oregano, Italian seasoning, and basil, and just mix all of that together. Now we're just gonna add dollops onto the top of the meatballs that are already in the crock pot. Just spoon some in, put that lid on, and then that's gonna cook for maybe 15 to 20 minutes, which is perfect timing because my noodles are cooking for my son. I'm very excited about this. I don't even know if I'm probably gonna eat them appetizer style, but he loves noodles, so we're gonna serve them that way for him. I mean, look how delicious this looks. You're gonna get a really easy meal that you put together in just a couple of minutes. Everyone is gonna be so excited about the flavors, the taste, and you barely had to work at it. All right, I'm gonna taste this. It is super, super hot. It's really delicious. And I love how pretty this looks when you serve it too. I mean, picture the fact that you can put this in a big 9x13 pan. You could do this over on your stovetop in a pan and serve it that way. You can serve it from the crock pot. I mean, any way you want, you can serve this. But the flavors are so good, so easy to do. I know everyone's gonna love this one in my house. I do feel like the more meatballs in here, the better if you're gonna serve it as an appetizer. If you're gonna serve it over noodles, like so, then you probably want more sauce. But either way, man, the flavor is so good. Try this one. Our verse today comes from 2 Corinthians 4:16. Therefore, we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're new here, there's a red subscribe button. Hit that before you leave so that you'll know whenever I launch a new video. I've got amazing recipes here. You're gonna love each and every one of these and so many good things planned ahead. You're not gonna wanna miss it. Check out the video that I have listed in the center of the screen though. These are some of our favorites.